Heidi Ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 445, Funny Bone Edition. The Detroit Lions knives are sharp. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and elbowless, no-elbowed co-host, Jeff, the Riz Risden. How you doing? Man,
I am not dancing in the intro song anymore, let me tell you that much. I just whacked my elbow really hard on my desk. It's not feeling good, so we're off to a great start.
It was funny. I could see it in the background, and he was dancing away, and it was like, whack! Jeff was in immediate pain. And then I laughed my way through the song. Good stuff, good stuff.
Oh, good times, good times.
Got a good show today. We're going to review the Giants game. If you didn't know, we won. We got the playoffs. What? The playoffs? We're going to talk about that. We're going to take a look at that and see what things look like for us. We're also going to talk about the idea of scouting a quarterback right now. Florida. We're going to look ahead to the Buffalo Bills Thanksgiving game and a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Riz, are you ready to go, my man?
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. David Lipper. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm working with what I got here, and it's not a whole lot to work with. Thank you so much. Had a donation come in just now. That's a thank you heard for St. Jude. And we are now, the little banner
Look
here
at that
shows.
number, Chris. It's not zero.
No. We started with a post-game show, and Dave Griffiths put, from the Slack, he put a $2,500 bounty out there and said if anyone else matches that, he would match it again for another $2,500. And then Sandman shows up and says, I'll do it. Like in the first 5 minutes of the show is crazy. $7,500. $5,000 is coming in. And this is something for those of you to think about, because I wasn't aware of this, and this is something I need to look into. Dave's doing an appreciated stock donation. So that $5,000 is going to show up next week. They have to do some paperwork and some other stuff, but that'll show up here potentially by the end of the week on our little thermometer of how much is raised. So we're actually at $9,360.69 already. Dave, thank you. Sandman, thank you.
Dave, that's awesome, Dave. Thanks so much, man.
Floundericious did a match of 200. You folks are awesome. We appreciate you. This is the year we want to get this over $100,000 totally raised for St. Jude, and thanks to you guys, we're off to a great start. And anyone, you got a couple extra bucks, it's a great way, help out some kids, help out some families. It's that season where you want to do a little something extra. This is a great way to do it. And don't forget, on December 9th and 10th, we've got our 24-hour live stream extravaganza. That's going to be crazy. I shared a new idea we're going to do with Jeff today, and it'll be fun. And then also our auction. It will begin on Black Friday. This Friday, we'll have an auction kickoff. We got some jerseys. We got a bunch of helmets. We got tickets. The Lions have donated tickets and parking, the whole thing. We got a lot of stuff out that's coming up in the auction, so make sure to get your head in the game. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. Semi-Scott, is this the St. Jude broadcast? No, we're doing that the 9th and 10th, but we're always happy to start a little bit early and accept a couple donations to help those kids out. So the 9th and 10th is when we do it. And so that's that. We'll keep going. Oh, I got to say this. stjude.org/DLP. If you'd like to donate, stjude.org/DLP. Tax deductible, the whole thing. So there you go. Thank you, everyone, for doing your thing on that. Also, want to give out a big thank you and shout out to Todd Sane. Thank you so much for the subscribe. All right. As we get started here, we'd like to see what do all of you, any Thanksgiving traditions? It could be Lions related. They can be something else. We're just interested. What kind of traditions do you guys have? Put them in the comments in the chat here or in the comments after the show. Love to see what you guys have. We'll hit them on as we go on throughout the show. But any Thanksgiving stuff you got going on, we'll pop on some of that.
Do you have any, Chris, that you do? Like, being from Detroit, I assume that you grew up with the Lions being an integral part of your Thanksgiving.
Always the Lions. I grew up. My house was not very sports oriented, so luckily it was one of the only things on TV, so it was one of the times that it was guaranteed to be on the tube. But as I got in my teens, it was like, no, it's nothing but the Lions. I will wrestle somebody for the TV. There's that, and it's the nice thing is we could travel. I had family out of state. We would go to see same state you're going to, Ohio, and it was always on because it was football was all throughout the fam, so that was good. How about you, man? Anything that you do?
We just always, even though I grew up in the Cleveland area. Most Thanksgivings I was in Sandusky, Ohio, which is, it's not closer to Detroit than it is to Cleveland, but there's definitely a Detroit and Toledo pull to it. And like the TV stations came out of Toledo. We could actually get a couple of the stations over air from Detroit when the wind was right. You know how that goes.
Yeah. What was it, Channel 13 in Toledo?
Channel 11, WTOL was
TOL,
the
there it
CBS
is.
station.
Yep.
Yep. We used to get that. So we would go there, and my grandparents were not really football fans, but they always waited until after the game to have dinner. And I always appreciated that, even as a little kid.
Yep.
We didn't eat until after Thanksgiving, and then we ate during the Cowboys game. And a couple of my uncles were very anti-Dallas at the time, so they cheered against Dallas very actively. And I come from a family that knew how to drink, and that's where I learned how to.
Good for you. Floyd, Thanksgiving is our family reunion. We roll 50 to 100 deep every year in a cabin outside of Traverse City. That's a good time.
Awesome.
That's a good time out there. All right, let's get in some lines. We're going to talk about the Giants game. And I don't know if you know, we won that game, Riz. We talked last week. One of the things that I said was this is a signature game, and this is one of those games that the Lions typically, when it's time to really show the progress, to really kind of put their stake in the ground on progress, that they seem to trip. They seem to miss it, and they miss those opportunities. Not only did the opportunity present itself this week, but every other team in the North lost. This was the week to truly have that kind of signature game, and the Detroit Lions pulled it off. It says a lot about culture. It says a lot about this team and the direction that this rebuild is going, Jeff.
You know, it's interesting. So I, as you know, Chris, I do a lot with the Giants media in the offseason, mostly draft related, but they're good guys. And I talked to a bunch of them last week, and they were all like, we don't like the matchup. Like, I know the records are different, but we don't like the way we match up with you. And I kind of like, okay, you know, you guys are just being polite because you like me to be on your show. But it turned out everything that they said and everything that the Lions fans said for reasons for optimism came to be. Like, they couldn't run against us because their offensive line was beat to hell. And I do think that has to be stated as an overlying cause for a lot of things. They were starting their version of Logan Stenberg at right guard. They were playing a practice squad call-up at center and a practice squad call-up for a practice squad call-up at right tackle by the end of the game. It's nice to have that on the other team.
Yes.
It's nice that was not the Lions for once. And I feel zero sympathy or mercy for him. I feel empathy for him, but I don't feel any sympathy for him. Yeah. And the Lions took advantage of it. And then the other thing that they said, they were worried about our ability to cover guys man on the outside. And I was surprised and pleasantly thrilled how much they respected Jeff Okudah and Jerry Jacobs as outside man corners. Yeah. They're like, our guys will not get open against you. Guess what happened? They did not get open against the Lions.
No.
And when they did, Jerry terminated plays right away. Will Harris terminated plays right away. You saw really good play out of the cornerbacks once again, third week in a row. The defense is rising up. They're making plays. And it was funny. I talked to the Giants wire editor, Dan Benton. He's just like, this game played out exactly the way I thought it would. I actually thought that you would run for more than what we did. And I said, well, we got in the end zone 3 times with Jamal Williams. I'm pretty happy with that. It was weird that the team that's now 4-6 had such a distinct advantage talent-wise and personnel-wise in key spots against a team that's 7-2. And I think that, Chris, you and I have talked about it. It says a lot about the Lions, and I don't want to call it like rotten luck, but they haven't had the ball bounce their way.
Yeah.
And New York had every ball bounce their way early on. That's why they were 7-2.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that they're not a good football team, but they got some breaks along the way. The breaks that they just weren't happening for Detroit, whether it was, a missed extra point here or something like that, or a takeaway that just magically wound up in a linebacker's arms. That didn't happen for Detroit. And that stuff's happening now. That's
2 weeks in a row where the opposing team at home is getting booed off the field. It's like, I could get used to this. I like this. I mean, and this is the thing, Sandman talks about it, makes a great point. When people look at a schedule and they see the Detroit Lions on the schedule, they do like we did with Jacksonville. They do like like we do with, so they're like, oh yeah, that's a win. And they don't even think twice. They just check it as a win and move on down. And and they buy their tickets, because they're buying them ahead of the season. They get all jacked up to go. Yeah, this is going to be a win. And you see what happens. The Lions show up and wreck some people's afternoons, and I'm okay with that. They've wrecked many an afternoon for us. I'm so happy to see the shoe on the other foot. The crying about refs in Chicago. Hey, so yeah, I've seen it before. I've seen the story. Eat it, suck it up, and go. You gotta be able to overcome it. That's what I'm always told. So overcome it. To see what the ball bounce the right way. See the players just stand up like they did in New York, and I mean, we'll talk about it, but. Like Kirby Joseph is a guy, we'll talk about him specifically in a minute, but to have the same number of catches this year that Kenny Galladay has is just not something that you would expect to be a Lions stat. It's always the other way, and it feels so good. It feels so good.
It's finally nice to be on holding the hose instead of being the fire hydrant. It's sometimes it's good to be the dog.
Yeah.
That stat, and John Neo from the Detroit News tweeted that out during the game. I wrote about it at LinesWire. It wound up getting an incredible one. So thank you, John. I appreciate that. That's like, that just doesn't happen for Detroit. Like the guy that got away is awful. Like he's become one of the worst. There is a column in the works, not by me, by the way, by a national writer that I know and has done research with me with it. That will posit that Kenny Galladay is the worst free agent signing in NFL history. You will see it soon.
So good to be on this side of it. Hello from Chicago. Go ahead.
We get Kirby Joseph out of it.
Yeah,
like he's the comp pick that we got for letting Galladay. And by the way,
same number of catches.
I know everybody wants to give Brad Holmes a lot of credit for not re-signing Kenny Galladay. That does have to go back. Bob Quinn and Mike Disner deserve credit for rebuffing Galladay well before they were fired. The summer before was that 2019, 2020?
Yeah.
The summer before he left, his last year in Detroit, Galladay's people really pushed hard for a new contract, and Quinn pushed back and Disner pushed back. So, I don't like to give them a lot of credit for a lot of things, but they do deserve credit there for that. And then Holmes seeing the same thing and realizing this ain't worth it. Yep. There was a lot of talk about Matthew Stafford making Kenny Galladay. I think that's part of it, but I also think that he is a guy that got his money and got comfortable. Yep. And that's, you can't ever really predict that because yep. I don't know Kenny well. I interviewed him pre-draft twice. I had one interaction with him while he was with the Lions. So I don't really know him very well. I did not get the impression that he was going to be that kind of guy. So.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anthony Berardi, hello from Chicago. I'm a Lions fan and can't understand why the Chicago sports media, including YouTubers, still claim the Lions suck. It infuriates me, and I just don't understand it. It's homerism a little bit. Chicago is a place that's very much, in a weird way, like LA, so about itself and full of itself. And LA has so many teams and so many opportunities that they can just ride whatever bandwagon at the moment is the hot one. Chicago's got a long slide ahead of it in a lot of ways as a city, not just sports. So they're just watching. I mean, Packers fans are very much the same way. They don't know what it's like not to have a Hall of Fame quarterback. And as things start to crumble, it's an absolute freak out over there. You'll see that in Chicago. It's going to be a lot of that.
Can I recommend not listening to 670? Turn it to ESPN 1000.
There you go.
You'll do a little bit better for it. I don't live in Detroit radio market. I can get all the Chicago stations. I can get Milwaukee too from over there. Yeah. And I do listen some, especially when I'm in the car. Chicago media is pretty dang insufferable right now.
Yeah. Watching Sandman's slow lights highlighted how solid that coverage was, to agree with Riz's point. Absolutely. And his slow lights, I tell you, Sandman 7773, that's 3 sevens, is on the YouTube. I check it out. His slow lights are the best. And I tell you, for the first couple years, that I was really focusing on learning about a lot of football. It was his lowlights that gave me some of the best opportunities to really study line play. Watching offensive and defensive lines and some of the nuances of what they're doing. At speed, it's hard to really catch a lot of that. Once you start slowing it down and seeing it, and then seeing it at speed, it's a whole different ball of wax. It's really, really interesting stuff. So I recommend his stuff. I want to get really quick. Redskins used to own the Lions. Used to, not anymore. Going back however many years, y'all own us now. Hey, Jared, thanks for joining the stream again. This is something I think is important because the Redskins, what are they, a 6-win team this year?
They have won, is it 4 in a row? Like Taylor Heineke is, again, another guy who's better than Carson Wentz. Not that there's not many. That's an exclusive club, but you see what having faith in a quarterback can do for a franchise. Yeah. Like they had no faith in Carson Wentz. It was pretty clear that they gave up on that already. We saw that in Detroit when we played them.
Yep.
That's a pretty decent football team, and that win is looking better all the time now for Detroit.
Yep.
And by the way, it's weird. Washington's a last place team, and they are 2 games ahead of us. We're going to talk about the playoffs and the potential, and that's something to keep in mind as we go through it. Like we beat a team that's 2 games better than us, and it's going to take some going to get there because I think they're still going up. Honestly, somebody else has to fall, but
yep.
A long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Trevor asked who that for the Redskins. I may have said that. Sorry, I don't know if I did or if it came in a comment. It's just.
There are the Commanders.
Yes,
now.
We know that.
I just call them Washington. It's a lot easier for me that way.
Yeah.
I still want them to be the football team. I liked that. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was. I liked that. I still mess up with the Chargers too. You know what I mean? You have something that's so many years is one thing, and then it changes on you. It's hard to go. All right, let's start talking about what happened. I think one of the key pieces from the game against the Giants was shutting down Saquon. And I think I don't want to say all the credit, but a whole slop load of credit goes to Aleem McNeil, Twinkle Toes out there, PFF Defensive Player of the Week. Aleem McNeil, you are my hero. Somebody cue the music because, God, what a beast he was out there. I loved it. I showed the picture of him and I from training camp. He's such a gentle giant. He's such a wonderful person and great human being. And then to go out there and just nom, just chewing off linemen is great. Love to see him having success. He's the guy we thought he was.
It was so good. So as you know, Chris, and as people who are in the podcast Patreon Slack know, my favorite Lions player of recent vintage is Shaun Rogers. I loved Shaun Rogers, specifically the year where he was healthy and motivated. That Denver game that he played where he ran back the interception is probably my favorite individual Lions performance ever. I saw a lot of Shaun Rogers in his best in Aleem McNeil this week, and that made me extraordinarily happy because Aleem is one of my favorite players, not just on the Lions, but in the league right now. Yeah. And I know he hasn't shown up on the stat sheet. I get that. But he does do things well that don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. But in that game, he loaded the stat sheet, baby. 10 pressures, 3 tackles for loss, all on Saquon. Saquon Barkley, by the way, in that game, I looked it up. Average first contact, 0.2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Yep. The Lions got to him before he got to the line of scrimmage on average. That is unbelievable. And that's more than just Aleem. That's Isaiah Buggs. That's Benito Jones. That's Hutch. That's Michael Brockers playing fairly well in limited reps for the first time we've seen him in a long time. That was Will Harris corner blitzing twice and ramming him. Oh, it was good, man. So
doing
good.
What? You got a little too excited.
I had a family show. We're good. 15 carries, 22 yards. He had 4 yards on 2 carries, like 2 different carries. So that's what? That's 14 yards on his remaining 13 carries. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Don H. Kaminsky too. He was great out there as well. He's been great this year. Great. He's the guy that stepped up. Just incredible. Love what John Kaminsky's been bringing.
Oh, 100%. And he's another guy. Doesn't show up on the stat sheet all that often. He did block a kick. That was nice.
Yes, yes.
But he's a guy, the facilitator role. Every great pass rusher has the guy that does the little dirty work on the inside. John Kaminsky is ecstatic. He's thrilled to be that guy that sets it up because he knows that Hutch knows. He knows that Aaron Glenn knows. He knows that Todd Wash knows. And that's all the praise that he needs. Look, this is a guy, he had a rough go of it in Atlanta, man. And this is his revitalization. I don't think he's going away. I think he's going to stick around for a while. I think he understands that the getting is really good where he's got it.
Yep.
He is a free agent after the season. I fully expect the Lions to prioritize bringing John Kaminsky back. And it's not going to be a guy that's going to break the bank. This is a guy that you pay, 2 years, $8 million, most of it up front in a guaranteed bonus. So it's all, you swallow the python swallows the deer early, and then you're good with it. But he's been a great pickup, and don't think that Atlanta doesn't miss him.
Python swallows the deer. Oh, Riz, I love your turn of phrase. All right. Moving on, wanted to hit on Kirby Joseph. Speaking of the Python, from his first game, if you remember his first game, he came out in relief of Tracy Walker.
Bad.
It was rough. It was rough, and we talked about it and said, look, he wasn't supposed to be on the field yet. He was supposed to be developing behind Tracy Walker. This poor kid is now, like last year, another rookie thrown into the mouths of the Lions to have to perform because we didn't have anybody. And if you look at the trajectory he has, I mean, like I said, same number of catches as Galladay, and he's the guy we got for Galladay. I mean, and we didn't pay even nearly what Galladay wanted. For him there to be able to step up in that Tracy Walker role, be that ball hawk, and I'm not knocking Walker here. I mean, if there's a knock on him, this is it. But he's catching the ball when it hits him in the hands, and that is spectacular. Absolutely loving what we're getting out of Kirby Joseph. Another of this youth movement. We're the youngest team in the NFL, aren't we? Is that true?
Defense, we are. Offense, I think Houston has passed us because they cut a couple of guys.
Okay. So one of the youngest teams in football, absolutely.
Yeah.
And here we are watching these guys like Jerry and Kirby and all of these guys just step up and bring it. And Kirby is just an awesome success story. His trajectory is incredible. And man, I love it. I love it. I want to see more and more. I want to just keep seeing what he's got because he's a special kind of cat.
Yeah. Once he learns how to play the run, he's going to be a special player. He's very good against the pass now. He's obviously got to get better at tackling. He knows that. Look, when we saw him in training camp, we're like, okay, he'll be your coverage specialist safety because he, like even in training camp, like he just was not a guy that saw the run very well. And if you saw him try to tackle, that was in the Bears game where he just flat out matadored. That's going to happen. Like he's a rookie. Like he's not done.
Yeah.
He's getting better. He's going to get better at these things. And man, his instincts for when the ball gets into the air are great. You can work with that, man. And he's making Deshaun Elliott better because you see Deshaun every week is getting a little bit better because he's trusting the guy next to him a little bit more every time. You're seeing Deshaun making more plays and not playing as careful, which actually is a good thing at safety because he's like unrestrained. Like I don't have to worry about the guy over here. I can just go do my thing and I'm good. And that's liberating, man. I remember, for those of you who are Cleveland Browns fans, back in the day, I remember when they had Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield as their cornerbacks. And I knew Thane Gash, who was their strong safety at the time. And he talked about like, I don't have to worry about the outside part of the field. I can just do what I do in the middle of the field. And it makes my job so much easier. Like knowing that I don't have to worry about these things.
Yep.
I can absolutely see that going on with Deshaun Elliott right now.
Absolutely. We are asked, Don Burr asks, is Kirby making Tracy Walker expendable? No. He just signed a contract and he'll be back as long as he can heal, which judging by what we're seeing with the injury in the Lions, that's a healable injury. I mean, we're seeing some repeat. I mean, Cam Akers broke the mold on that injury, and now we're seeing all kinds of guys come back. I don't think he's expendable at all, and he's just going to be part of the package. And him and Kirby together.
Remember, this is a defense that's designed to have three safeties on the field instead of three corners.
Yep.
And Tracy and Kirby can both be the slot corner safety role. They like having it bigger there. Now, Will Harris is doing fine at it. I'm not going to get struck down. He's been good there. Like I said it on the Huge Show this week. I'm really, really happy with Will Harris as the slot corner, as that kind of hybrid safety corner.
110%.
They finally found a home for him where he can do what he does well.
Yep.
And look, it's never been personal with Will Harris with me. I just wanted him to be a better football player, and he wasn't. Now he's being that, and now I can definitely appreciate the guy that I really happen to like off the field.
Yeah, you were wrestling
so nice
with that for so long. Your love for him as a human and your frustration with him as a player, and it was palpable, right? But to see his success, the only thing I'd like to see as an evolution from him is less friendly fire. If I could see a little less friendly fire out of Will Harris, he'd be my guy. I might even buy a jersey, actually. I might even buy I've turned on him enough that if we could just kind of curb that friendly fire problem, I'd probably pick up a jersey.
That was a big issue. Again, That's why Okudah is not going to play this week. That's why Jerry left for like one series. Kirby had to leave for a play.
Yep. Oh man. Let me hit something really quick. This one came in, and this I had this up here. Okay, Don H. Do you guys notice that the Lions in both the seasons are under MCDC, that they progress as they go through the season? Sounds like a certain team that has Super Bowl rings in both hands. Just saying. Yeah, this is something, and we'll talk about what the chances are, what this looks like, because there may be some help in that way for the team this year as well. So we'll talk about that. There's a lot coming on. Let's move on to Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah, we'll start with how many people were out on Jeff Okudah and just injury. Oh, he's no good. He's a bust. And then he came in this year and he just beat the snot out of everybody he covered. And I mean, his play on the run has been just incredible. He has been a force out there on the field. Now, look, this injury he took, He's going to be out this week, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like the protocol is just not going to be able to get out of it in time. Not because he's dizzy and falling over and having all kinds of problems. It's just the protocol. I mean, we don't know where he is, right? But it's just the protocol isn't going to let him in, period, because you have to go a certain amount of time and through certain procedures and steps. So it looks like he's going to be out Thursday. Friendly fire incident that does not have anything to do with being injury prone or anything like that. This is not a Jeff Okudah problem, and I will bet he's the first one, probably the angriest one about this right now.
Yeah, and from what I understand, he was in fact diagnosed with a concussion, which means that the protocols. You have to have 0 symptoms before you can go out and practice on a limited basis if you're diagnosed with a concussion. He hasn't been at practice yet. So I know they're just doing walkthroughs. They're just estimating it, but he has not been at it. So at this point, like if he can't get on the field for that tomorrow, he wouldn't have played Sunday. So it doesn't necessarily matter that much that it's a Thursday game. It's that. They do it to protect the players. I like it. I know it's frustrating, but we have seen guys go like we saw like who was it? Was it Amon-Ra that came through it, or was it somebody else that came through? And then somebody else did too. But we've had 2 players that got through the protocols throughout the week. Kirby was one of them actually. That got through the protocol through the week and played. There just isn't enough time. It usually takes 5 or 6 days to get through it, and they're just having that time. They don't have that luxury this time.
They don't have the time. And that's something, look, I don't want to rush anybody back either, right? But the process shouldn't be an impediment to a healthy player from playing. We saw it with Amon-Ra earlier, right?
Yes.
He shook his head a little and they took him off the field, and that hurts the team a great deal. That can be a little subjective. And that's, again, a little bit, it feels a thumb on your scale. A couple can be one of those things, right? So you want to remove the subjectivity. You want the process not to be the problem. You want factual, realistic medical information to be driving it, if that makes sense. If there's something wrong with Jeff Okudah, I don't want him on the field. If he has a risk, I don't want him on the field, period, 100%. And him or any of the Lions players, just straight up. But the process, I just want to make sure the process is working and not hurting teams. The subjective one that I talked about first that's frustrating, right? That's something that's got to get cleaned up. I get the reaction to Tua. I get it. But whipsawing things like that and reaction knee jerk always leads to bad policy. And whether it's, government to
100%.
sports to whatever, knee jerk reactions lead to bad policy. And we don't want bad policy.
100%.
And wait till the policy changes in the playoffs because they want their money, and that's going to make it a heck of a lot worse.
Wait till Patrick Mahomes gets dinged
Yep.
in their season finale where he shouldn't even be playing. I'm going way ahead here. Yes, I've been in a time machine, folks. This is going to happen. Patrick Mahomes will get a concussion in the last week, and then they're going to have a bye, and he's still not going to clear protocols until like right before the end, and then they're going to make sure that he gets on the game.
Yeah.
So something like that will happen.
Yep.
That's my prognostication.
Yep, 100%. Do the Lions look to extend the 5th-year option, or do they take a 4-year ride and deal with it at the end of the year? They're going to take the 5th on Okuda. I'm pretty sure of that, Riz.
They have to decide in March. It's either March or April. It's before the draft, and I think it's like right around when free agency starts is the deadline. I can't fathom them not picking up his 5th-year option. And 5th-year options get picked up. Like they picked up Hawkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that he's still going to be here for all that amount of time. It should be. It's a good indication that it will be. But teams dupe that, especially the high picks like that, like number 3 overall. You're dealing with cost containment at that point. Like it's actually cheaper and beneficial for you. This is happening with Lamar Jackson, by the way, in Baltimore. But can we talk about that for a quick second? Because I still get like. Every week, there's people that are like, oh, we're going to go. Lamar Jackson ain't going anywhere, folks. The Ravens shouldn't pay him long-term because it's cheaper to franchise tag him 2 years in a row and then sign him if he's still great in 2020 after the 2024 season ends in 2025. He's not going anywhere. They'd be stupid to sign him now because it's cheaper to give him $38 million next year and then $47.5 the year after that. Because guess what? He's going to get 50 to 55 million per year, guaranteed, all guaranteed. And as a free agent, they don't have to pay that much. I don't think that he's pushing for it either. From what I gather out of Baltimore, like nobody in Ravensland is stressed whatsoever. Like he will be there through at least the 2024 season. So all of you who are thinking about Lamar Jackson, sorry, that ain't going to be under your Christmas tree.
No,
just move on.
All right. Ever since they announced the bronze statue of Barry was going up, the team has been winning. I was there for that. Thanks to say, man, that was a good time. Yeah. Bad game, but we've been winning ever since. That's for sure. All right, let's get into the Pepsi Rookie of the Week. You may have heard this name, the softest hands in the NFL, Aiden Hutchinson. Tell me that wasn't one of the most beautiful catches, much less interceptions, that you've seen. His hands were like a pair of My Pillows. You know what I mean? It was soaked in palm olive. It was incredible.
He looked like a tight end. It reminded me so much of Mike Vrabel when he played for the Chiefs and the Patriots, when he would go out. And the Steelers actually did with the Steelers too. Like he would go out and he was their goal line tight end. I want to say that he caught 11 touchdowns in his career, something like that. Like it's the same vibe, man. Yeah. And like Hutchinson's a better pass rusher than Vrabel was. Vrabel was a good player. He wasn't a great player, but he augmented it with his tight end skills. Man, I would love to see Hutch get in on the goal line package because they're going to be like, oh crap, 97, who's on 97? And then Brock Wright seats up the back door of the other side, and it's an easy touchdown because he's uncovered. Ben Johnson, make that happen, brother.
I want to say something really quick about Aiden Hutchinson because people have spun this out of control, and it's silly. And people are nuts. But I talked about Aiden Hutchinson having baby fat, and I don't know what people like. They like he's got a 6-pack, and they're all getting all grunty, and steam coming out of their ears, kind of a thing. Look. I don't know if you realize the human body doesn't hit its athletic peak until 25 years old. He's 3 years away from that. You show yourself a picture of his face in 3 years versus his face today, he's going to look different. He's going to look different. His body, I know he's got a 6-pack. It's going to get tighter. It's going to get more muscular. You're going to see a substantial change in his body. Just because I said he has baby fat doesn't mean he's a chonker. So understand. every player that comes out of the draft has a pathway to their peak athletic condition. Hutchinson is going to do that. He's going to hit that. You can tell he's going to put in the work, and he's going to be that guy. When you see him at 25 years old and you compare him today, you're going to say, oh God, Chris was right. You're right. I get it now. I see the difference. You can go back and look at other players, but calm down. I'm not saying he's a chonker, people. It's so touchy people out there. Okay. Yeah, Jake, how did we get so off track to talk about men's tight bodies? I don't know, but it's kind of nice to talk about.
Brady Quinn, what?
All right, Aiden Hutchinson just killed it this year. Another tackle, a couple tackles. He's got two interceptions on the year. I mean, he's got he's 2/3 of the way to Kenny Galladay's reception rate. He is smoking it out there. I mean, my goodness.
He's the first defensive end since Jared Allen, to whom he was often compared, in getting the amount of sacks and interceptions and fumble recoveries by a rookie. Only Jared Allen has done what Aiden Hutchinson has done through the first 10 games of his career.
Yep. He and Kirby,
that's pretty good company.
He and Kirby are one catch away from doubling Galladay's production. I'm just dragging.
And it could happen this weekend because like Josh Allen has a lot of very positive attributes. He does still throw a crap ton of interceptions, and he will throw them in weird spots, like a goal line pass where he just doesn't anticipate that the lineman might stand up or jump back. Yeah. There's a chance this week that Hutch can get that third interception.
Yeah. I'm loving it. I love Aiden Hutchinson, and I've told you guys all know, as we were coming to the season ahead of the draft, if it's a Michigan player, if it's a Michigan State player, and if it's an Ohio State player, I tend to rate them worse than I would anybody else, because there's that homer effect that I try to control, because you can't stop all that noise, right? It's not that I wasn't high on Aiden, right? But I was fighting the bias stronger than I probably should have, but I am so excited with what he's turned into and what a player he's been for the Detroit Lions. What an amazing draft pick by Brad Holmes. We'll talk about that a little bit, and Brad and his picks. Really quick, Dan Campbell. This one I picked up on the way through the week or since the game. And I'm not sure this is exactly right, because he's, the way they have statistics, it's like on the third Sunday after Thanksgiving, there's only been one team that's had 4 receptions before the half that were dropped. And then, all these little.
Like Colleen being the first man, 320 plus pounds to get 10 pressures a game.
Yeah, exactly. So I know there's a qualifier here somewhere, but I'll just state it like I remember it, and I couldn't find it to validate it, and I didn't have time to go chase all of it down. But Dan Campbell is 3-0 against teams over 5 with a record over 500. Jim Caldwell was 0-for. Jim Schwartz 0-for, and Matt Patricia was 0-for. That's pretty nuts.
So it's not over 500. It's teams that are 5 games or more over 500. I saw the tweet. I saw it. So and Campbell has more wins than all those guys combined. Schwartz never won one. Yeah. Caldwell never won one. By the way, Caldwell also never won one with the Colts, and Patricia just didn't win at all. So yeah,
no, he couldn't win anything. But that's a real validation.
It's Arizona last year.
Yep.
And the Giants this year, and that's it. It's 2-0. It could wind up being 3, though, because they do have a couple of games against teams. Buffalo was not anymore. Buffalo has lost 2 of their last 3, so they're not 5 games over 500 anymore.
Right. So,
when they play Minnesota will be 5 games over 500. And somebody else is still going to be that good, too.
I don't know. Minnesota's meltdown. I hope it's contagious across weeks. Boy, that was a beating.
By the way, they have a negative point differential on the year at 8-2. The Cincinnati Bengals are 6-4 and are plus 60. Like we talked about the weird bounces that you get when you're with like the Lions when they were losing, like that. There's no better indicator of that Minnesota has gotten a crap ton of lucky bounces, including against Detroit, by the way. Like some of that was Dan Campbell's fault. We do not overlook that. Dan did not coach a good game that day, and the Vikings took advantage. I think if in the same situation, if those two teams played right now, and that game situation comes up, I think Dan Campbell's a better coach for it and would win that game. but he didn't at the time.
What's more
He'll
effective?
get another shot in a month.
What's more effective, Jim Schwartz in Detroit or the Schwartz from Spaceballs? Kevin, I'm going to say
Schwartz, be with you.
I'm going to say neither one is controllable, so they're equally chaotic.
I not to diverge real fast, but I like the way that Detroit came around on Jim Schwartz, because like when he first got fired, everybody's like, "Oh, he had to go. We hated him. He was terrible." And then like 2 or 3 years later, people were like, hit the mic there. Sorry, people were like, "You know what? He did a pretty good job with a crap situation," and that's exactly what he did. And I have encouraged other teams when they are 1-15, 2-15, 3-14. I'm like, you know, there's a guy out there who can coach your team who's really, really good at being the tow truck driver to get your bus back on the road.
That's right.
Jim Schwartz. He's not the guy like once the transmission is fixed, you probably don't want him. But if you need a guy to get you out of the depths, like
I'm going to say
I'm good at that.
I'm going to say and I agree with you 110%. I have a feeling though that Jim Schwartz has grown and he might be the guy to take you as well. I'm interested to see him get another shot as a head coach somewhere, because
I would love
he's
to see
grown.
another shot.
He has definitely grown, and I would love to see how much and what he could do with a football team, because I like Jim Schwartz a lot. I think he's a character for sure. But I would absolutely love to see what he could do with the team these days.
Like to see what he could do with the Houston Texans next year.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah. Ooh, Tampa Lion Blue Jay. Thank you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to DLP. One Thanksgiving the Lions should have Iron Maiden perform at halftime. That would be epic for sure. I do know.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thank you for
I
the
will not
super
scream
chat.
for you.
I will say that one person that's going to be on our St. Jude show, Brian Burkheiser from I Prevail. He's going to be on. We're going to see what we can do if we can do a little something. They're going to be in town with a makeup concert on Friday.
They are playing tonight.
Yeah,
they are playing tonight at the Fillmore.
And they're good Friday in St. Pete. They got a makeup concert from when Ian came through. And I'm like, I'm struggling. I got family. I'm trying to make this work. I'm trying to thread a needle on this. It's just like, it's a day after Thanksgiving. Okay. So anyway, got all that going on. We got him coming. Don't forget stjude.org/DLP, your opportunity to donate to a great cause and help some sick kids and their families at a time when they need it most. We're bringing Christmas to the kids. Your chance to donate and help with a couple bucks if you've got it to share. We appreciate you. All right, let's get into the next guy. Jamal Williams, the hero we needed this week and last week and the week before. The running back position is quite an interesting position for the Detroit Lions. There's a lot of talk about DeAndre Swift and what's going on with DeAndre Swift. And there's, I don't mean this, so please don't get angry, but you get your Swift truthers and your Swift haters. And somewhere in there is the reality of what's happening with a player, where his head's at, how he's playing, the team, what's happening in the dynamic between him and the coaches, and all those things. There's a lot going on there. But with Jamal Williams, other than, and this is the hard one because everyone remembers the fumble, the one fumble on the goal line. He's not lost a fumble in his career other than that. He has been such a solid performer. And you watch it in game after game because of a guy that's thumps out there like Jamal Williams, who embraces the contact and continues to drive the ball, the defense. Those defenses slow down. Those defenses are getting worn down. This whole concept of run first from 20 years ago in the NFL is working for the Detroit Lions. We won a game just now, just so people can think about this. We won a game 31-18, and our quarterback only threw for 165 yards. That's pretty freaking huge. And to be able to do that says a heck of a lot, because when you have one of those games with Jared, like he had at the beginning of the season, and he has the weapons out there to hit like he had at the beginning of the season, and you have a run game like that, there's no stopping that offense. There is no stopping that offense.
4 rushing touchdowns in a game. Williams had 3. Yep. Swift had 1. And by the way, look, I've been hard on Swift. I was ecstatic to see him score that last touchdown. And I tweeted out about it. I'm like, he needed that. Like, if we're ever going to salvage whatever we can from DeAndre Swift, he needed that touchdown.
Yep.
And there was another play earlier where he actually did lower his shoulder and made contact with the defensive back. And I jumped up off my couch and I was happy about it. I'm like, yes, Deuce is getting through. He's listening. It's working. Like, yes, because DeAndre Swift, that guy's a good football player. That DeAndre Swift, unfortunately, hasn't been around since the middle of week 2. And we saw glimpses of it last week. And I'll take that, because the more you've got there, the better. I do think that Justin Jackson ascending above him and the way that Justin Jackson is not nearly as talented as DeAndre Swift is as a runner, but he goes balls to the wall, high effort,
Grit.
assignment specific runs. Where he needs to be when he needs to be there. He trusts his blockers and he's not afraid to drop the shoulder. He's not afraid of contact. That probably sent a message because Justin Jackson absolutely ascended to the number 2 spot over DeAndre Swift last week. You saw it after the fumble.
Yep.
Or he fumbled on Swift obviously recovered on his own, but so to get anything out of Swift after that is gravy, man, because Jamal, I don't get that Lions fans don't like him, but there's a lot of Lions fans that are like, no, Jamal's not any good. I'm like, what are you watching? Are you watching the right? You're watching Jamal Williams, right? No, like the anime guy, the fun guy.
Yeah, the guy that plays catch with the fans every practice, every game, every chance he gets. He walks up and then back on the stands and plays catch with any fan that wants to play catch with him. He's one of the coolest guys. I don't know how you could not like Jamal Williams.
There's a lot of people that think he's terrible. I don't get it. So he has the second highest percentage of runs that result in a first down of running backs in the NFL. Nick Chubb's the only guy that's above him. By the way, Nick Chubb last week against Buffalo, and this will bleed into it. He had 19 yards on 12 carries. Like Nick Chubb is the best running back in the league, in my opinion.
Yep.
So it's going to be tough sledding this week. So we need Jamal and we need DeAndre and we need Justin to all be at their best. Because that's an impressive showing, and they did that in Detroit, by the way. So they're used to the stadium.
Yep.
But Jamal converts first downs. He's really, really good at maximizing yards for what's blocked, and that's all you can ask. Like, he's so good in the red zone too. And here's the thing: DeAndre Swift is, even though he's been dog ass for most of the last 2 months, he's still been effective in the red zone. And thank God that his head is still in the game enough that he's able to do that. Like I love DeAndre Swift on a Texas route in the red zone because he can do exactly what Theo Riddick used to do.
Yep.
He's way too quick for a linebacker and he's way too like savvy for a safety to come up, or he gets there fast enough that the safety can't close in time. I love that, man. So I hope that he winds up being more than a functional red zone weapon, but if he's just a functional red zone weapon for the rest of this year, I'm happy with that too.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But Jamal, man, Jamal's your number 1 guy. And by the way, whoever runs the Yahoo fantasy sites that tells me every week, Jamal shouldn't be in the lineup. I should have Josh Jacobs or Najee Harris or Damian Pierce or who's the guy in Atlanta? Not Tyler Algier, their rookie. Every week, I'm recommended to sit Jamal Williams. At some point, you donks at Yahoo will wake up and start recommending Jamal Williams to people.
All right. I feel it. I feel the heat. Thank you, Riz. We've got, you are the prosecuting attorney on the Jamal Williams case. The defense is already rested. They are running from the courtroom because you made a hell of a case.
Good.
All right, let's get into now a couple other players. We'll start with DJ Chark. He only had 11 snaps on Sunday, so it was even people were like, what happened? Where was Chark? He was kind of invisible with a 1 play, right? But that was it. He was only in 11 snaps. We expect to see more of him. There's also talking, I'm getting ahead to our Buffalo game. We'll get to that. I promise we're going to talk about that shortly, but there's talk that J-Mo could be back. They're hinting towards that. I will say, just as we lead toward that, Bills,
pants, Chris. My pants are gone.
The Bills' outside corners are the best place to attack that team, and I'll talk about why. But that's the place to try to beat the Buffalo Bills. But Chark, we expect more from him. I didn't see a lot from him. Did you see much? I didn't look at him. I didn't chart. I didn't second watch him. So I don't have a whole lot on him. But I'm not worried.
I did not get through the full film review. I will say this. 2 of the plays he was in, he ran a 9 route, and Amon-Ra ran underneath, and Goff found Amon-Ra in his wake, which is exactly what he's designed to do. Yep. The throw down the field, first off, hideous decision by Jared Goff. Secondly, not a good effort by DJ Chark. So Put that away.
Yep. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's get into the playoffs. People are talking about, what happens if we beat Buffalo? Well, let's take a look. What's going on with this? And I want to talk about something. I want to give credit. Scorpio Sultan posted something in the Reddit that was really, really illustrative, and I thought it set this conversation up really well for us, Riz. So, the Lions played opponent win percentage. So the opponent win percentage for the teams they've played is the highest in the league at 618. The Lions' differential between played opponent win percentage, so who they've played, and future opponent win percentage is the second in the league behind only the Ravens, meaning they played significantly more difficult teams than everybody else at the beginning of the season and significantly weaker teams for the rest of the season. And I want to talk about that a little bit because sometimes we get clouded by some of our perceptions and biases. And just from the stats specifically, our schedule for the rest of the season is the biggest differential of easy of everybody except the Ravens for the rest of the year. That lends itself to tell us that this team should have an easier walk to the end of the season. Put that with what we talked about earlier that was in the chat with Dan Campbell teams getting stronger as the years progress, and you have two things that are kind of lining up for the Lions. We'll add a third thing that are lining up for the Lions, and that's health. Players coming back from injury, like J-Mo coming back. All of a sudden, he's got no dings. He's not worn out. He's not tired. Jerry coming back. He's only played 2 games. He's ready to roll. I mean, he's played 3. The first game was a light lift though. He's ready to roll. You have these guys coming back from injury who basically got some good rest, got themselves healthy. We look to be a stronger team here at the end of the year. These 3 things are converging for the Lions. Again, those ball bounces that Riz talks about, those things never, ever happen to the Detroit Lions. We've got a 10-day break after the Thanksgiving game. The Thanksgiving game, we'll talk about what our previews are. I don't give the Lions a huge percentage win opportunity, and if we lose, we should not be in some hyper state. The Bills are a very, very good football team, all that kind of thing. But after that game, this season looks really, because I mean, the Bills also weight that percentage, the win percentage of the teams we have yet to play. You pull them off the chart, and it becomes even then significantly easier as a percentage point. So with that, let's take a look at the schedule, Riz. Let's talk about what what this might look like for the Lions going forward.
We're talking about the playoffs,
right?
We have to, like, it's legit. Like, they are legit. Like,
you see the graphic
they're on the screen. Like when it says in the hunt, they're there, and there's teams behind them there. Green Bay is behind them there, which is great.
Green Bay picks right before us in the draft. They're 12th with 13th, and Chicago is 3rd overall in the draft. I mean, if you think about how crazy that is, I mean, we've got the Rams pick at 6. That's okay, but I mean, we're 2 spots, about 3 spots away from being in the direct middle of the league.
and we are very close to that. And again, it's attainable. And you see, like, Arizona, that ain't happening for them. I watched them in Mexico last night a little bit.
Yep.
That's not a good football team. They're not better than us. Like, I can say that without being like facetious or getting electrocuted in the anal probe or anything like that. They're not a good football team. Like, we are better than some of these teams. That's been fun.
Okay, so I'll just walk through who we have left. We have the Bills, Jags, Vikings, Jets, Panthers, Bears, and Packers. Right into the Bills, right? And we'll do a deeper look at the Bills, but
yeah,
what's your sense?
The Bills are favored by 8.5, and I think that's a fair line.
Yeah, I do.
Right.
I don't think it's unwinnable. I don't. But I'm not going to let it wreck my Thanksgiving. And I put this out there. I said we'd do a post-game show if the Lions. I'd do one by myself if I had to. If the Lions beat the Bills on Thanksgiving, it's possible. I just don't put. I wouldn't.
The way I looked at it, going into the Giants game, I wanted to split out of the next 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Anything over that is just like extra gravy and stuffing on my Thanksgiving plate. I'll take it, I don't expect it.
Mhm.
It's like having homemade whipped cream by your mom instead of ready whip out of the can. Like it's that kind of accoutrement.
Oh, all right. So we walk
Right.
the
So
Bears.
then
Let's
we
walk through
got
the.
Jacksonville,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They're not good.
No.
They're not.
No.
Trevor Lawrence is getting better.
Mm-hmm.
The football team around him is getting worse. Funny how that happens. That's happening to Justin Fields in Chicago too. The better Justin Fields plays, the worse the Bears get around him. That's not a good place to be. So I like the Lions' chances a lot against Jacksonville at home, coming off of a rest. Absolutely like that one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we move on to the Vikings. This time it's at home. We split with them last year. I think we got our first win, and I was there for it last year against the Vikings, right around the same time frame too. I think it was a week earlier that we played them last year and got that win. But here we are facing the Vikings at home on the 11th of December. This is a team we almost beat, and I feel like they're still beatable. I'm in the same. So I don't think we're gonna beat them, but I think they're beatable. I think we have a really good chance of beating them. But if I had to bet,
absolutely,
and if I had to bet my Thanksgiving turkey on it, I'm going to have to put it on Minnesota. Is that fair? Is that a fair?
Yeah, I want to see how they. So they play New England on Thanksgiving this week, so we get to watch them and see what they're like. And I want to see how they deal with getting their ass handed to them. Look, they've got a rookie coach. They've got a team that they're veteran laden, but Kirk Cousins, you see him wearing the chains and everything on the plane. It's great when it's going well with Kirk. I want to see how they handle when it's not going so well with him, because in the past that's been an issue, and I don't necessarily think that's a Kirk Cousins issue. I think it's more of like the team around him, and just the way that he sort of excuse me. He's a different cat, not for everybody.
Yep.
Kind of like Jeff Garcia in that way.
Yeah.
So I want to see what happens with that, but it's certainly it's winnable. It's winnable.
It's going to be one of the pivotal games. Let's look at it like this. I think there's games that we're going to win and games that are pivotal, and that would be a steal that we need. How's that feel? Oh, pretty good, Chris.
I like it.
Okay,
I like it.
Sorry, I saw you go off camera. I was going to.
I found a
something
on my floor that I had to throw away.
All right. So we're going to call the Vikings game pivotal. Then we go out to the Meadowlands where we've seen success, and we play the Jets.
If Zach Wilson is starting that football game, I guarantee the Lions win. Guarantee it.
All right, Namath.
If Joe Flacco's playing, they probably beat us.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that part.
They are not a good X's and O's matchup for Detroit.
No.
Not at all.
No.
But their quarterback he's so bad, and he's like repellent to his teammates. If you do yourself a favor, watch the press conference and watch how he handled when he was asked if he felt bad about letting his team. I was like, no, why would I? I'm the quarterback, man. I'm the MILF hunter. I'm good. You can't tell me that went over well with Robert Saleh or the New York Giants teammates.
That's interesting, because I think about you're right. He and it's in the media big time. I mean, the media is ripping on him. It's not. He doesn't have long. He's going to be radioactive very, very quickly for the entire league. Just it's you can see that path is ahead for him. But the corpse of Joe Flacco, I think the one thing that he brings is that he's not Zach Wilson, and they rally around him because of that. I think that's where the piece comes, because I mean the guy's 156 years old. He wasn't that great. I mean, there's a reason he's not. He is the
master of the underthrow pass interference call on 3rd and 15. He's good for one of those a game, and then they always capitalize off of it, no matter where he's been.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like Flacco. He's certainly not elite, to go back to that, but he understands how to lead a team, and that's important. And Zach Wilson clearly doesn't know how to do that. So I will say that if Zach Wilson plays, I love the Lions' chances. If he doesn't play, kind of like the Jets in that game.
Okay. We'll roll up to the Panthers.
win.
Longtime nemesis of Jeff Risdon, Baker Mayfield at the helm, maybe.
Who? I don't think anybody knows what the hell's going on there.
A lot of change this offseason. I know that.
So Baker is the kind of quarterback that the Lions can give problems to, because he's a guy that just doesn't handle pressure very well. And he will stubbornly, to a point, try to throw balls into small windows just to prove that he can, even if it's like the worst decision that he could make, because he hears everything. He's got the rabbit ears. Like if the media is talking bad, like, I don't think he can make that throw. He's going to try that throw 30 times. Like that's the kind of dude he is. That's the kind of guy that Aaron Glenn can fool with.
Yeah.
So I like the Lions' chances there, aside from the fact that their defense is very, very, very top heavy. And the back end of it is like guys that might not be on the Lions practice squad. Like their top end guys, Brian Burns, Derek Barnes, Jace Horn is looking pretty good. Like the rest of their team, it isn't very good.
Yeah. Yeah. JP is me 91. I'm with you, brother. I just want revenge on the Jets for Monday Night Football. And God, we will talk about that as we get closer. We heard "Let's Go Lions" at the Giants game. Double it up, baby. Double it up. It's time. And just pull it out and drag
These nuts
across that football field. Just go to town. Anyway, that being said, yeah, the Panthers, that stick a fork in that franchise.
That's a bad team.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the Bears. Week 17, January 1st. We have tickets that will be up on the auction for that game. You have a great chance to get those and have a good time there. What do you think of the Bears game here, Riz? We took them once. We've got them at home now.
I like the chances a lot in that one. That's a game, but I will say this. I think the Bears will still be fighting. This is a team where they know that their coach is secure. They know they have a rookie coach. They don't have a rookie GM. In that situation, and we saw it in Detroit last year, when the guys know that the regime's coming back, they're going to try to play hard so they can build some momentum and endear the players that can endear themselves to the coach for the next year to show that, hey, I want to be part of this. I can be part of this when we start getting better. So don't write them off because of that.
Mm-hmm.
The next game maybe won't be so much like that, but the Bears, they're still dangerous because Justin Fields is like, he's a very unique weapon. And he's unique compared to what Lamar Jackson is, like, because he doesn't run the same way. It's like we saw it, man. Like they had him dead to rights on a couple of plays. Dan Miller's call of it is just phenomenal. The last play, like you can't discount them because of that. I think the Lions are a better football team on both sides of the ball and on special teams, by the way. So I think on all three facets, the Lions match up very well. So I will take them to expect to win that one.
Yes.
What about you?
I feel like we do too. I look, I'll talk about it when we talk about the Bears, but we've had 2 weeks of running quarterbacks that we've been playing against, and I think the Bills is what I meant to say when we talk about the Bills, but we've had 2 weeks now running of running quarterbacks that we've defended against, and that has been traditionally our nemesis. We've beaten them both weeks in cold, windy, crazy weather to come home to our place, our turf, end of the season, a younger team that has come back and has more rested than the Chicago Bears. I just think we're going to be a better team. I think we're going to beat them. And I'll go straight, right into Green Bay. I think we're going to beat them as well. I think there was some information that came out in the Slack today. There's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago and Green Bay right now. And frankly, I think we're going to ball drag Green Bay. Green Bay is about to have a massive implosion, I think, from the fans.
Well, the point that I just made about the Bears, like wanting to play for their coach and prove that they're part of it, that doesn't exist in Green Bay at all. Like at all.
Yep.
Like those are dudes that are auditioning for where somebody sign me out of here. This ship's going down. Now you do have to worry about the death rattle because that will happen. And look, we love to hate on Aaron Rodgers. Dude's still got talent, like ridiculous levels of talent. It's not as good as it used to be, but if he wants to be a great player, he can still be a great player, and that's always dangerous. the Lions actually have played him fairly well over the years. And I want a repeat of, what year was that? Was that 2019 when he tapped out? When, remember, that was 20, it was the last game of 2019.
Yep.
And he went through the first half and they sacked him like 3 times. And he like, I might need to go in the concussion protocol. And he like walked off the field.
Yep.
And they brought DeShone Kaiser in. Like, oh my God.
Thank God they didn't have Matt Flynn on the roster that day.
Oh, God, no. By the way, I will say this because on the off chance that we see Jordan Love, I was going through some scouting reports this week because I was not a fan of Zach Wilson, and I was looking at some of my past quarterback evaluations. And there's a cross the stream thread that I have with someone that everybody would know if I said it. That we were talking about Zach Wilson, and then we diverged into Jordan Love, and we were talking about a couple of his games. And the guy legitimately said to me, this is a well-known draft analyst, is like, I have no idea how he started at Utah State. Like, he's not a good player at all. And this is from that draft time. This is before we knew he was going to be with the Packers, before we knew he was going to be a first rounder. Like, he's in my 400 overall players, like not anywhere above that. And he didn't publish it that way. He published him quite a bit higher because that we'll save that. We'll save that story for the telethon one. We have to talk for 24 hours because that's a good one where I have to talk about why the bag on Zach Wilson. Why Zach Wilson was my number 323 player, but I had to write him down as number 102 for forces that were out of my control. I got that one right though.
There you go. But, yeah, so if we go through this, we've called the Jags, we've called the Panthers, Bears, and Packers. We'll say
that's 4 wins.
And you got the Jets, Vikings, and Bills as pivotal. And I think kind of and let me just say, with the Jets and the Bears, do you think they split those based on what you were saying? Like, would you say that's probably the best way to call out one of those?
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, so it's either they have to win both the Jets and the Bears and pivot on Vikings or Bills. Well, then they get it, right? If they beat both the Jets and the Bears, then it's done. They've got their 5 wins. It takes them to a 9-win season. That's potentially a wild card.
I think 9 does get you in the playoffs this year in the NFC.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, you look at it, right? It's there's a lot of winnable games. The statistics are on our side about the difficulty of the schedule, the win percentage. Oh my gosh, in soccer, so we're taking the over on Jeff's preseason prediction. Mine was 7 wins. The consensus was 6. God, I would love to be right on 7.
If this team finishes 7-10 after starting 1-6, I'm ecstatic. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm good with that.
Hands off. Next Tuesday.
I want more. I absolutely want more. But if, again, from 1-6 to finishing 7-10, that's called a springboard, ladies and gentlemen. And I know that the analytical nerds don't believe in momentum because they've never played sports. There is absolutely momentum and inertia that can carry through a team and give them confidence over the offseason and have more appeal to a mid-level free agent who's weighing, do I go to Pittsburgh where they're going to be 4-13 this year? Or do I go to Detroit and
play for that coaching staff? Or now play for that coaching staff that we saw at Hard Knocks, and for a team that really didn't give up on those coaches and came back and really seemed to have. I could be the guy that makes the difference, and who doesn't want to be the guy to make the difference to lift a team, to have that kind of, because if you're a professional athlete, you have that kind of je ne sais quoi, that kind of swag when you have to believe in yourself at that level, and to look at that and think that you could be the guy to push that team over the top at that position point. That's exactly what you're looking for, and to make money doing it.
Imagine getting like an end of career ring whore, like what Ndamukong Suh just did with Philadelphia.
Yep.
Getting a guy like that, and obviously not Suh himself, but like Von Miller with the Bills this year. Like, he could have gone anywhere. He took less money to go to Buffalo because he wants a ring, and He's doing a damn good job of getting him one. He's a problem this week, folks.
Yep.
Don't forget about him.
Yep. Now remember, it's a heavy lift, but again, all these things, the health of the team, the opponent win percentage, all these pieces that are falling into place for the Lions could very well be the difference. And how they played at the beginning of the season against very, very difficult teams, still the third strongest strength of schedule of anyone in the league. Second strongest is Chicago. First strongest has been Green Bay. I mean, it's crazy. And the Vikings, who happen to be the top, have one of the weaker strength of schedules in the league. Funny how that plays out. Strength of schedule says a lot about what you're doing, and it gets a lot better for the Lions towards the end of the season. So we'll see how that plays out. We want to move on to the next topic, though. But before we do, it's that time of year. Magic things happening. Head on over to Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com and Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. We're going to get 2 in 1 here. Amazon, you know what Amazon is. You just heading over there. You get all the stuff you want, all your holiday goods. You get in there. They take a little bit of money out of Bezos' pocket. They throw it over at us. It doesn't cost you any more. It's just a great way to help the show by doing something you were going to do anyway. And Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Fanatics is the ultimate. It's the official merchandise store for the NHL, the NFL, all of them, really. They are the official people with the real merchandise, top quality stuff. Same kind of deal. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com will take you right over to their site, and everything you buy, they put a little bit of that money in our pocket and help support the show for our Senior Bowl coverage. We got a big crew coming out this year. Got a lot going on for you guys. So anything you can do in those areas to help support us, help us do the things we do, we really appreciate you for doing that. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com and Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. All right.
While you were doing that, I peeked in on my college football game. My Ohio Bobcats are playing tonight. If they win the MAC East. They are winning at Bowling Green, or they're at home, 28-7 at the half.
Yep.
With our backup quarterback. We lost our quarterback to a knee injury last week. Curtis Rourke, Nathan Rourke's little brother. By the way, Nathan Rourke is going to try out to get into the NFL. Hell to the yes, I want him in Detroit. He was phenomenal in the CFL this year. The game is different, and his skills are a little bit tailored to the Canadian game, but I would love to see him get a shot to unseat Tim Boyle or Nate Sudfeld as the backup quarterback and see what he can do next summer. Yeah. And he is going to sign with an NFL team before the end of the NFL season. I would love for it to be Detroit. Yeah. Love it.
100%. There you go. All right. We want to talk about the draft order. We alluded to it just now. Really quick, Brandon, Chris, remember when the Lions started out so badly and then they fired Joe Lombardi? I said that if they went out, they could make the playoffs, and they were 2 wins away. Yes, absolutely. And then the difference here, as Mike Hodges says, these guys are finishing games. They're less likely to stumble in winnable games as we go forward.
100%.
And that's the game in New York that we just played was one of the most complete games I've seen out of a Lions team in a long time. All 3 phases of the game, they were a professional football team across the board. And I mean, as silly as that sounds, watching the NFL, that's actually a compliment, because there's not a whole lot of truly professional football teams in all 3 phases of this game. So, all right. Kevin, we need more Mo from the Creek. Yeah, Mo, we want you to call on our next post-game show. We need more Mo in our lives. All right, let's talk about the draft order. First point for the draft order, I want to just do a big cheer. Let's go Rams. Whose house? Lions house, baby. They are choking the snot out, and it looks like they may be going Swan style and taking the dive. They are 6th overall pick right now with a 3-7 record. Matthew Stafford, I believe, is still out in the concussion protocol. I do not discount what's going on in his personal life, his age, his injury history, the whole thing. There is a lot of conversations going on over there. There is a lot going on over there in that Stafford world. They very well may put him down for the season, and that's the negotiation point to keep him on the team. I'm serious. There's a lot going on there. You've got Kupp, right? He's cooked. He's done. Why not? You're at a choice point here, and McVay's at a choice point. They said, well, we've got through 24 with Donald and Stafford and Cooper Kupp with those, and so McVay sticks around with the cord. If it looks like the cord is breaking apart, there's no reason for McVay to stay. There's no reason, and then all of a sudden, and with the cuts they made today, they could be an absolute selling team. And if that's the case, And those were big cuts today. Those are not to be diminished. Who the running back and linebacker they cut, they could very well be in a market where they're selling and saying we just got to start over. We got to rebuild now. With Aaron Donald, you can get value.
No assets. Their team that they have is the team that they're gonna have. They knew that 2021 was their year. They hoped that it would carry over into 2022. Obviously, it hasn't. Now they're going to have to retool. They don't have any assets to retool with.
They got no draft picks. They've got to trade assets that they have. They're not going to get anything. I don't want to say not going to get anything for Stafford, but Stafford isn't going to get them anything. Cooper Kupp is someone they could get value for. Aaron Donald, if he would stay for the contract, you could get value for him. But they've got no draft picks. They are in a dicey spot.
But I would still take their title. I want, and I said this about my Cleveland Cavaliers. I loved it when they went all in because we'd never won anything before. And that one was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It was 100% worth it. And every Rams fan will tell you that too. It was worth the fact that we're going to suck now for a couple of years. It was worth it to get the one. Yep. And I hope that every Rams fan feels that way because they should.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I will tell you what, LA is such a fickle market that works in Cleveland, that works in Detroit. They've already forgotten in LA. They're looking at how are the Lakers. Can we jump on that one now?
Lakers are terrible.
I know. Oh shit. Clippers. I mean, who do we got? How's the Dodgers? They will just jump to whatever the next one is.
The Dodgers were good, weren't they?
Yeah.
Didn't they fall apart in the playoffs though?
Yeah.
I couldn't name a baseball player outside of Clayton Kershaw just because he was Matthew Stafford's childhood friend. That's about all I know about it. But I think the Dodgers were good.
Yep. LA is.
I don't really know.
LA isn't just they're just a tough market, and you don't buy anything with a championship. The fans are like, okay, cool, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to go for a hike. There's no good teams, right? I mean, there's something to do there all
USC
the
is good.
time.
Let's watch USC.
You've got 107 teams to choose from, and if it isn't your sport or your team, you just can go out. You're going to go to the beach. You go up to the mountains. You go for a hike. I mean, you got a million things to do with your time in the winter, the summer, the spring. It doesn't matter. You got stuff to do. That it doesn't buy you anything like it does here. So they'll have the mark, right, and the legends of the NFL and all that. But as a city, it was meaningless. So for the players, it's important. But it's a weird. I mean, there's a reason they have to do a silent count at home on the regs. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of the beast. So,
whack.
yeah.
I don't get that.
So before we get into the draft, and we've done a little bit of Rams talk that we had to do, I want to just do a quick jaunt back through the drafts of Brad Holmes. And this is the kind of thing right now that I kind of, when people say, yeah, but it's in 60 years of, I just immediately dismiss whatever argument they make in which they include that, right? Because it's basically a different owner, but whatever. It's a completely different front office. It's a completely different coaching staff. If you're hanging 60 years on the new people coming in, you're a lunkhead. I'm sorry, you are.
Holmes is what, 46 years old?
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's 43, 44, something like that.
Yep. That's right. Don't follow the team if it's that bad. But I just want to go through these because I want
seriously find another. If you're hung up on that, go root for another team, please. For all of us, for your own mental health, for my mental health, so I don't have to deal with your BS. Go root for somebody else. Go root for Dallas. They seem to like bandwagon people.
My meds don't work unless you take yours. So get on it. All right, let's
I like that. I'm going to steal that. That's good.
All right, we're going to go through Brad Holmes. And before we do, really quick, I just want one quick point I want to make. Brad Holmes had mentioned that the system, the draft system, and his people and the whole thing are not going to be in place until 2023. So the upcoming draft is the first time that Holmes is going to have all of his stuff in place for the draft. But we're still going to look back because you still have to grade people's performance. I'm going to walk through the players we grabbed in the draft, and let's say success or not, right? All right. So first off, Penei Sewell.
Hit.
100% hit. And the best part is he made Tyrell Crosby cry like a schoolgirl when they picked him. But we won't talk about the Twitter beef. Okay, we got Levi Onwuzurike. Okay, so that's a miss, right? We can call that a miss, right?
Big miss.
Yep. Ali McNeil.
For a third-round pick, he's a hit.
Iffy Melifonwu.
Missed.
Is he a miss, or is the jury
Yes.
out? Okay.
I would say
don't
he's
disagree.
a miss. I don't know if he'll be on the team next year.
I don't disagree, but I don't know that he's had time on the field to prove that he's good or not, and I don't know.
He's healthy, and they're still not playing him.
There you go. All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're at 2 misses here.
Oh, big hit.
Derek Barnes.
For where he was drafted,
113.
the jury's probably still out, but I think he's a hit.
He's a starter on this team. He started this week.
He played really well last week.
Yeah. So we'll see what his trajectory is, but he feels at where he was picked. I feel like we got the right player at that space. And then we will fall down to 7th overall, Jamar Jefferson, your favorite pick, behind Jimmy Landis.
Squad. If he ever even tries to pass protect, he might be a hit, but
we'll see.
He hasn't yet.
Yeah. He's still in the practice squad. He's still working. And Deuce has said some things where he's got a lot of the pieces. There's just a few, like you said, the blocking.
And he's 100% true about that. You can see it when he runs. He's really good. It's everything else that involves being a football player, from special teams to pass protection to selling fakes to being a receiver. He's awful, like really, really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how you reconcile that and then get a player out of it. But
yep.
He was worth the shot.
Yep.
It didn't work.
David, Penne shut down Micah Parsons head to head, so we should stop the debate right there. Yeah. Let TC know that.
By the way, Taylor Decker shut out Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yep.
That's tackles.
What we didn't talk
No
about.
pass rush, no plays in the backfield, no quarterback touches, no quarterback hurries. And he went against Decker on 88% of his plays.
Yep.
Give Taylor Decker some freaking respect, people.
Yeah. Well, and let's also talk about the Thibodeau versus Hutchinson debate on the draft. I think we've settled that at this point, right? There's no more debate. All right, let's move into the next draft.
Josina, you were wrong. I almost got fired for that.
And Soccer Wizard, we're not going to do the UDFAs with Wright and Jacobs. Those are just icing on the cake. And we never forget Jerry, but we're just going straight with the draft picks. But I would say that Holmes has been spectacular in his UDFA picking. His
Tommy Kramer, and that either Tommy Kramer will be your starting right guard next year.
Yeah. And then don't forget about
would be now if he was healthy.
I don't think he's still around, but he's a potential guy. Derek,
these nuts.
He's out there still too. Okay, let's get into this year's draft. Aiden Hutchinson, swing and a miss on that one, Riz. We'll just walk past that. JMO, undecided. Okay.
Haven't played yet. How do we know?
I know. Josh Pascal.
From when we've seen him, he's been a hit. We just need to see more of him.
Mm-hmm. Kirby Joseph.
Yeah, good player.
When we've seen him, he's been pretty good.
When we've seen him, he's been really good.
Yeah. Starting tight end, future Hall of Famer James Mitchell.
The jury's still out. I would say for a 5th round pick, I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Coming off of the injury that he did, I'll take that upward arc.
Yeah. I like where he's going. 6th round we go now with Rodrigo.
Oh, he's a hit. Mm-hmm. By the way, coming off the worst game of his career, college or pro, one of the keys that I have for this weekend, and you'll see this on LionsWire before Thursday, hopefully, if I ever get time to get it finished. I'm very curious how he responds to having a shit game, because he's never had one before. And I don't know how it's going to happen. So I am definitely watching Rodrigo this week, because he's been really, really good. He was really bad last week, but that doesn't mean that he's not a good player. Yeah. Good players have bad games. Certainly. Bad players have good games. Yep. Rodrigo was a good player. He had a bad game.
Yep, I would agree. Oh. All right, now we go to James Houston. on the practice squad right now, linebacker. He's a 6th round, number 217 overall.
I'm not going to get upset about a 6th round pick, but I don't think he ever plays a snap in the NFL.
There you go. And then Chase Lucas, who is active on the roster as a DB right now. 7th round pick, 237.
Again, the scale when you're picking 237 overall is pretty small. I probably wouldn't use it on a 25-year-old cornerback who can only play in the slot and only on special teams like that. And he hasn't played. So, I mean, I'm not going to get picky about it, but it's probably a miss. But it's almost the last pick of the draft. I'm not going to worry about it. Like he showed some talent in training camp, a little bit in the preseason, especially against the Steelers. Let's see if he can ever crack the lineup.
I think my point when I look at this and the hits and misses is, number one, every GM misses, but the hit rate that we've seen for Brad Holmes is exceptional for a GM. And where he's hitting, if we go down to places like Rodrigo in the 6th round.
Hitting Amon-Ra in the 4th.
Yeah,
Amon-Ra,
Derek Barnes the 4th. Yeah. This is a guy that's finding, and then Jerry Jacobs is a UDFA. A lot of these guys that we're finding down deep in the draft and the undrafted guys. And John Kaminsky, pulling him in, Charles Harris the year before, right? We're finding guys that are right for the team and playing very, very well. This, to me, is quite a competent front office. And I would, as of now, and this is one of the things we saw guys playing and doing well with in their first year, generally with who's Quinn? That was his name. I can't keep him in my head. And then they fell off immediately, right? So what we want to see and what we believe we're seeing right now is development from this staff of these players. If this arc stays, I think we've got ourselves a top 10 front office at this point, and he's still a rookie, right? It is a GM.
Yeah, he's definitely got some rookie mistakes on his ledger.
Yep.
But we're seeing the growth. We're seeing they haven't had any paralyzing mistakes. Levi is as close as you get. That's like I didn't like the pick when they made it, legendarily. I still don't like it now. But if you whiff on a 2nd round pick, okay, that's going to happen. The hit rate on those in that range is rough. So my guy Corey Kinnan, who runs Browns Wire now, and by the way, does a great job at it.
Yep.
And he tweeted out something this morning like, "Quit getting stressed out about playing or 3rd or day 3 picks, like either not making it or playing too much and not being good. Like the day 3 picks, if they make your team for more than a year, it's probably an asset. They're probably better than they thought they were. 2nd round picks, and Corey does study this stuff. He's a good draft Nick, by the way, underappreciated draft Nick. So follow Corey, please, and tell him I sent you. He does a thing, and it's like a 60. I want to say it's like 64% of 2nd round picks in that range wind up being a average starter in the league, which is what you need from that. Like if you get any better than that, that's great. I don't know what's up with Levi, man. Spinal fusion surgery is it sounds scary.
I hope he stays in wherever it makes him the healthiest and happiest for the rest of his life. If he doesn't play, I'm fine with, hey, we had one that we missed, and we couldn't predict the future of his injury. We played a little bit with that, and we wound up on the short side of it as a team. But for him as a human being, I hope he does the right thing to stay healthy and go and move on. And that's that. We can write it off.
We can. But the fact that I want to give credit to their pro scouting department, not just the college scouting. Mm-hmm. Finding a guy like Evan Brown. I watched Evan Brown. I covered Evan Brown in Cleveland. He wasn't good. Like he was undersized. They tried him almost exclusively at center, and it just didn't work. Like they wanted him to be J.C. Shredder's successor. I'll be frank, he wasn't good enough. Like he didn't merit that. And he comes to Detroit, playing again out of position. He's wildly undersized for a guard. If you look at his arm length and his weight and his strength numbers, like he shouldn't be there. He's playing his ass off, but he's okay. Yeah. Like he's a functional starting guard. He's a great backup center. Like finding guys like that, finding I like. I'll send out the bat signal here. Alex Anzalone over the last month since the bye week has been a perfectly capable starting linebacker. He's not good. I'm not saying he's good. He's functional as a starting linebacker. He is not hurting your team. They're finding ways to get him useful. Is he ever going to be a long-term building piece? No. Do they need to replace him next year? Yes. Is he getting the job done right now? Yeah, he is. That's it. That's your pro scouting department, man. That's finding Deshaun Elliott. Give Brian Duger some credit for that. They're finding those kind of guys, and that's critically important, man. When you find cheap guys with a little bit of NFL experience, guys that for whatever reason didn't work out somewhere else, man, that's a great way to build your team.
Yep.
Great way.
One thing that came in, got from Mike Hodges, guys, do you think that our meritocracy mindset has agents ready to send players our way? I'll tell you, the meritocracy piece is great especially for the pro scouts to be able to pick the guys they want. That brings up players that believe they have something to prove. And if your pro scouts are working, the guys that think they have something to prove and just want a fair shake to prove it, this is the ideal place for them. And to have good scouts that can help you find the right guys in those places, that helps get you a landing spot, especially when you go from a Matt Patricia run team where it was adversarial relationships between the front office and the coaching staff and the players to trying to change that culture. You have to do it believably. You have to do it credibly. And what you're seeing is, you see Hard Knocks and players see it and it's like, okay, well, I've seen this before. What is it really? And now you have players out there that are going to talk about it, and you're going to see it in the record, and you see it how people play. So that's great. In the regular college drafting, I don't think that the meritocracy piece matters. Maybe for guys, Jerry talked about it when he came over as a free agent, as a UDFA. He said he had more money elsewhere, and he said, I think I'm going to get a chance with the Detroit Lions, and that's where I'm going to go. So absolutely, for guys like that, I think that will continue to be the case because you still have to get players. You trade for players, you get players, you pick up players, you UDFA players. That part of the world will always exist for your team. And as you get your draft talent in and you continue to increase the capabilities of your team and the win count of your team and the depth of the playoffs that you drive a team, you'll start building the culture around that on all points where you are a destination that people want to go to. So at the point in time, it's exactly the right approach. And I think that's how the meritocracy thing has helped this team at this point. Kind of like the Jim Schwartz thing, right? He was the right guy to pull the tow truck to get the team out of the ditch and pull it out. You have to create the right environment, and that's what they've created here. So we talk about the draft and the importance of the draft. It's 100% important, and this is the year. Brad told us that it's taken until 2023 to have his system and all the pieces in place. Dorsey's been working on it with him. All of those guys up there, Disner, have all been working on this. And I'm interested. I'm interested to see how this draft plays out, how they roll the injury dice, if they do it differently than they did with some of the picks they have. We have got some good quality picks right now. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. But let's get into the idea of drafting a quarterback now, Riz, because I know this is something you want to talk about, and I wanted to tee this up with the whole idea of the broader draft thought.
There's a couple things that come out of this. First off, it came out over the weekend that they have seen Florida play 5 times now. And obviously Anthony Richardson as a quarterback has a certain appeal to him. So this past weekend had a not so very good start to the game. Wound up throwing for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and made a couple of throws that were like, okay, all right, I like that. But didn't have a consistency of that. And that's sort of what he's still a young guy. I think that was his 12th start or 13th start, something like that, maybe 15th. He's still a talent that's growing. And first off, they're not there just to see him. I can tell you they like Ventrell Miller, the linebacker who got ejected for targeting, dumbass, a lot. He's like a 4th or a 5th round guy. He's like a 225-pound fly linebacker type guy, a guy that could come in and play next to Rodrigo and next to Derek Barnes, who's certainly not that kind of. They're just not built that way. So he would be that sort of a player. And he's a pretty good player. So they're and Osiris Torres, their right guard, who will be in the mix for when the Lions pick in the second round with one of their picks. I'm not saying that they're going to take a guard, but if they're going to take one, he's certainly in the mix. So it's not just that they're looking at Anthony Richardson. And I can tell you a couple of other schools that they've seen several times. I know for a fact I've been to 2 Notre Dame games this year, and the same Lions personnel player has been at both of them. So they go around. But scouting a quarterback now. Scouting a quarterback doesn't mean that you're going to draft a quarterback. It means that you're covering your bases and you're considering your options. I will tell you straight up, the last time I was at the Notre Dame game, which was, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. I can tell you that at that point, that person told me, and I 100% believe him, we don't know what we're doing in the draft yet. Mm-hmm. Guarantee that's a true statement. If they like a quarterback well enough and they have an opportunity to take that guy, do I think they'll take it? Yeah, I do, but I don't know that. And anybody who tells you that they know that is lying. Tell you that straight now. Like I won't name names because I don't know who it would be, but if they tell you, oh, they're taking a quarterback, you can call BS on them. They might wind up taking that very quarterback, but I guarantee you they do not know it now because I can tell you this factually. So Dan Campbell has not watched a single football game yet, college football game this year. He is very involved in the selection process. And you don't think that the head coach wants to know what's going on with the quarterback? You don't think that the GM in this meritocracy that we talked about, in this, communal type of evaluation process, the head coach's voice doesn't matter? Come on now. You're smarter than that.
I'll tell you, just people hate this, but my AR-15 watched every Florida game this season. I've been on this AR watch, right? And he's an interesting cat. He has a lot of potential and a lot of really neat tools. My kind of comp, at least for him right now, is he's not as good, but a version of Justin Fields. And I'd like to see him go back to school for another year and season himself and come out. I think he will be way better for it. He'll be a much better NFL quarterback. He'll make way more money as a result. I think another year at school is going to make him much more valuable than I see him now. That's my take.
Yeah. And you have a son that goes to Florida, for those who don't know. So you do watch a lot of Florida. I have seen probably 6 of their games, including the last one. He has grown as a player from the first week to now. So if you're looking back at those early games where he was rough, man.
His first game, he was great.
Guy now.
When he beat Utah, it was he was over the top, off the charts. I was like, holy! Like I was all about let's get AR-15, right? And then I've seen the rest of it, and I've kind of pumped the brakes on that.
Yeah,
but you're right.
I would consider him, but I can't tell you if the Lions are or not.
Right.
But I know they have been. I know they have been at Ohio State games. I know they have been at Oregon games. God, I really don't like the idea of Bo Nix. I know Daniel Jeremiah, from NFL.com, who is one of the best evaluators out there, came out and said that he was a Bo Nix fan today. I'm like, no, DJ, no. I cannot get past the fact that he sucked ass at Auburn. I can't do it. Like I'll freely admit I can't do it. I know they've seen Will Levis in person. I wrote about Will Levis this week at Real GM. Check it out. It's the 7th cent in this week's 10 cents. Check it out. RealGMFootball.com. Shameless plug. I'm not a fan.
You're a fan of RealGM.com.
Yes, I'm a big fan of RealGM.com. I've been employed there for 19 years. I am not a fan of Will Levis and his draft prospects. I just don't see that. Yep. There are a lot of quarterbacks out there that like day 2, 3-ish guys. Max Duggan from TCU. I like him a lot. I talked about him a couple of weeks ago. I like him a lot after what I saw last week. And by the way, that walk-off field goal that TCU pulled off against Baylor, holy crap, man. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So let me
just thrilling game of college football.
I want to tell you my dream, my wife of the quarterback situation. My wife and I were doing a little role play alone at night. Dark, had some drinks going, right? And we decided that Joe Lombardi is going to crash the bus in in Los Angeles on the Chargers, and things are going to be so bad there that we're going to put a bunch of capital on the table. We're going to get Justin Herbert in Detroit. And I was like, oh yeah, baby, keep talking. I don't know why, but I am super high on that kid. And you know where I was in the Senior Bowl on him, and we kind of all were, but he has come. I think he's not a super mobile guy, which is kind of anti where the NFL is running right now, but I just feel like he would fit this team so well. And just
he makes some throws, man.
Can you imagine him behind this line with this running game and JMO and Chark and Amon Ra? I mean, just and on and on. I mean, oh my God. It's the stuff the dreams are made of, my friend.
He's really impressive. And again, a guy who wasn't particularly great at Oregon, wasn't particularly great at the Senior Bowl. Like, I underestimated him. I admit that. I got caught off guard by it. Like, good for him. It's just a couple of the other quarterbacks that are later on, or well, CJ Stroud to me is still the best quarterback in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
I am not out on him whatsoever. I have cooled somewhat on how, like, there are warts there that you're going to have to get through, but I can certainly live with those, and they can be ironed out. He's not a perfect prospect, but I still think he's easily the best quarterback in this class.
Yeah.
So I would go there. I like Duggan a lot. Jake Hayner is an interesting guy from Fresno State. He's kind of got that Gardner Minshew, Taylor Heineke vibe. Duggan has that too. The thing I like about Duggan is that he I talked about this a couple weeks ago. He is a guy that went from he was benched, he was replaced, and he came back, and he never lost the attitude of like the young, hungry, like guys that we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Delhomme was that kind of guy, that gritty, like, I'm not necessarily the most polished guy, but I'm going to will our team to win. And he's never lost that. And he's gotten a hell of a lot better as a passer in Sonny Dykes' system. So that's appealing to me. I like him a lot. Hendon Hooker, torn ACL on a 25-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I can't do that. I can't. Nothing against him.
No.
The dude from Arkansas, and his name is escaping my mind right now, but I can see him because he throws flat-footed, and that weirds me out, and I can't get past that either. He's a mobile guy. He's a great runner. He stands dead still, doesn't use his hips in his throws, doesn't get on his toes whatsoever. He's completely flat-footed, and he throws bombs. Like, I don't know how I feel about that yet. He's a guy that I get asked about. So, like, I don't know.
What do you do? Really quick, we'll do this. Thank you, Brandon Ding. Please give us a like and a subscribe on the video. We appreciate when you do that. It helps us out. You guys have heard the other YouTube people talk about the algorithm and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty on it, but if you could just swing a like our way while you're watching there, you just hit the button. It's really easy. We appreciate it. It helps us out a great deal. And if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button, because we got a lot of stuff coming. We've got a live feed coming from the Thanksgiving Day game from Sandman from his club seats. You get notified when that happens. We have a lot of cool things coming up that we do, and especially when we get to Senior Bowl and some of the other draft coverage, when we get those interviews, they just show up and we just go live. And if you want to see it as it breaks, we have a whole team of folks going to be there. So you'll definitely want to hit the subscribe and the bell when you do that. So thank you, everyone, for helping us out and hitting those likes and subscribes. Yeah. We always ask once per show. I chose now to do it.
One other quick quarterback, and I haven't watched him yet, so I can't talk about him, but I know the Lions have watched him a couple times in person. Shepherd quarterback Tyson Bagent. He's a D2 player. Shepherd's really good. They're in West Virginia. Again, I can't speak. I watched one game, like, where and it's not an HD. He's got a little bit of a weird delivery, but he's going to be at the Senior Bowl. He's got a lot of hype. He's a guy that's probably a 5th or a 6th round guy. Could play his way up from that. I can tell you the Lions have watched him. I don't know how they feel about him, but the fact that they've been to 2 different Shepherd games tells me a lot. And they're in the D2 playoffs, by the way. Ferris State, Grand Valley, also still alive in the D2 playoffs. Those are both local for me. I have ties to both schools. Ferris State, by the way, has a Grand Valley transfer who's a pass rusher who's going to be a 6th, 7th rounder who is infinitely better than James Houston, has a lot more on the ball than James Houston does. I would love to see them replace James Houston with him next year in that draft pick. So there's your D2 moment.
Boom. There you go. All right. We talked the draft. We talk about taking quarterback in the draft. Now you understand. Now you're with us. Brandon wants me to talk about Campbell giving the pep talk to the Red Wings. Grit. I mean, Campbell is a guy, everybody wants him. Everybody wants him. And he's got a career. I don't know. He'd probably make as much as he does on the circuit as a motivational speaker after he's done coaching when he decides to retire with his 43 Super Bowl rings in Detroit. But
I'd go see him.
yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk ahead about the Buffalo Bills. First thing I want to talk about, right? We're talking about some of the things that are going to affect this game. Because if this is a straight heads-up game on paper, the Lions have, 17% chance of winning, I think is what it's called out, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. It's what we're looking at with where they see the teams right now. That's not the case, though. They play the games for a reason. You talk about momentum and where teams are. I mean, Josh Allen's a little dinged up, but one of the things that I want to talk about is the travel piece. The Bills couldn't play at home. They had to come to Detroit. They got to come to Detroit to play this Sunday. Now you think, oh yeah, well they had to travel to Detroit, and then they traveled back to Buffalo. Now they have to travel here again. Absolutely, that's a lot of travel in a short amount of time. That's a negative for them. But there's another part of that, and this is something I haven't heard people talking about. One of the things is there's the whole thing with a snowstorm and the Bills Mafia shoveling people's drives and all that kind of thing, right? There's a certain amount of adrenaline, a rush that kind of happens as you do this and as you prep and you get to the travel because of all the uncertainty, and it really tires you out. So they get there, they come back. There's more than just traveling. There was the whole thing, and then the community support and everything. We do this at the 24-hour show, Riz, last year. You felt it. I mean, it takes a toll on you beyond what you've done, right? And it's and it's something. So they've done that, and then they have a short turn and another travel. That's going to work against them. I mean, they had, you talk about in the playoffs when a team has this big emotional kind of a victory, and then they come down and they're kind of gassed, and the next game they come out flat. There's a real potential from that. From the Buffalo Bills here. This has been an exhausting kind of a week for them. They'll be coming back to the same place. They'll be in the same locker room there in the visitors' locker room when they're here. But I think that's one of the things that kind of works in the Lions' favor. Go ahead.
It can't hurt. You're right. Travel sucks, man. Especially when you're traveling a lot like that. I think back to when I used to do the Shrine game when it was in St. Pete and then go to the Senior Bowl. Like the first day at the Senior Bowl, I need a day in my hotel where I can just like sleep and get my bearings, maybe go have a Sugar Rush burger and a couple of beers at the beer garden, and then I'm good. But like the first day, like nope.
Yep.
Don't talk to me.
Yep. You were watching, what was it, Rambo? Every time, like Rambo seems to be on.
Every time I'm at the hotel in Mobile or Mount Pleasant, coincidentally, Rambo was always on, and I always watch it, even though it's not a very good movie. First Blood, great. Rambo 2.
So anyway, that's the thing, and I'll tell you, and then the whole thing about travel, like through the snow to get there, you're just at a different level of kind of hyper awareness, a different level of alertness, and it does. I'm not saying it's going to cost them the game. It's just different, and it takes them out of the role, and it adds a little bit of stress. They didn't know if they were going to fly out. There's uncertainty and all the stuff that they had to go work longer. The drive wasn't just the smooth in and out, right? Just adds to. It piles on and creates distractions and creates things that can get in the way. Is 4 in a row expected? Well, 3 in a row. It's been since 2017 since they had 3 in a row. Brandon, I know you I think you tweeted this. How long has it been since they had 5 in a row? It was like the 90s, I think. Brandon tweeted it. He may not be around anymore.
I want to say it was 98. I don't remember though.
It wasn't 2008. Yeah, no, 98.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it might have been 98. 2011, Pat D says for us. But It's been ages. It's been ages since they've done the 4 in a row. Not expected, but what if, right? You have that. You have the Lions in a position where they've got Jonah out, which is bad. Evan Brown looks like he's going to be out. That's bad.
Man.
Okuda going to be out. That and against a guy like Josh. I mean, so you got Stephon Diggs playing Jerry. God, this is such a test. And look,
that's
if anybody,
not a good matchup for Jerry.
No,
we love Jerry, but that's not the kind of guy that he's going to have a lot of success against.
But you say that, and this is the kind of thing that where Jerry will find success because he's not.
Jerry's going to hear that. He's going to throw that in my face, and I hope you do, Jerry, because I deserve that.
This is the kind of thing where everybody says they're out on Jerry. No, Jerry's can't do it, and this is where Jerry always comes shining through, and I hope to see it for him.
He does, man.
Yeah, he beats the odds, man. He beats the odds. So love to see it. Love to see Jerry do his thing. But we're hurting. Without Okuda, and Jerry will tell you, without Okuda out there, we're not as good as we are with Okuda out there. So we've got those things working against us. If I think about like some of the keys of the game, the defense, we've done this with Chicago and the Giants. The Chicago was a great warm-up for the Giants, was a great warm-up for the Bills. We've been now practicing what we have to do against the Bills for a couple of weeks, and with a high-level mobile guy like Justin Fields, who's, I would say, more mobile than Josh Allen is, just by his statistics, right? And it's maybe forced a little bit because of the situation they have, but Josh Allen has a better arm probably than the three, than Justin and than Danny Dimes. I mean, Josh has got the arm. Mm-hmm. And we're down Okuda. So those two teams were probably a good warm-up. You've got Singletary out there as a running back who does a good job. I feel like our defensive line has shown that they can hold up to the run. I feel like we've shown we can hold up to the mobile quarterback, and we can still put ourselves in a place for victory. But the arm on Josh Allen is going to be the thing that I think really is the threat to the Lions this week from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, he's a wild card. And Buffalo, I give their coaching staff a lot of credit, and I give the team around Josh Allen a lot of credit. They shake off his bad plays better than I ever would, better than I anticipated. And that's one of the reasons why he's become the player that he is, an MVP candidate, when he wasn't particularly a good quarterback at Wyoming. And was rotten at the Senior Bowl, one of the worst quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl ever. But he has that ability to get his teammates to believe in him and love him and look past the bad because his good is so damn good.
Yep.
And that they give them a so much credit for the way that they've bought into him and built him up and built around him and cater to what he does well. And they shake off the mistakes. This isn't Zach Wilson out there where, blaming his receivers for not being where they were supposed to be when he missed. Like, Josh Allen's a stand-up dude, man, and he also has to be a hell of an athlete.
Yep.
And like his accuracy, it kind of comes and goes, but man, when he's on, he's got the ability to throw the ball the way Matthew Stafford did. Doesn't always happen, but he's like, if you like the way Matthew Stafford was as an aggressive thrower down the field in the small windows, you're going to like Josh Allen. And he's tough, man. And he's very difficult to sack because he's so physically strong. Mm-hmm. I used to joke in the draft process that I think he would be an all-pro tight end. I still believe he would be an all-pro tight end, but he happens to be one of those quarterbacks that's a little bit more important than a tight end, as we well know as Detroit fans.
He doesn't have his hands as soft as Hutchinson, I'll tell you that.
He probably does not. But yeah, so and now being without so Chris Robbins and I had a nice little discussion in the Slack this morning where we agreed that Jonah Jackson was the Lions' best lineman. And I think if you watch the Lions and specifically focus on the line, Panay's been good, but he's been error prone. Decker is still Decker. I think he's good Decker.
Yeah.
And I think he's still damn good. But Jonah Jackson has been the best player on the Lions offense all season. Amon-Ra rises up to it. Chris pointed that out. Chris Robbins, by the way. Good job, buddy. But for my money, Jonah Jackson is the Lion most deserving of getting a Pro Bowl berth this year. And not having him against the defensive front that has Ed Oliver and other dudes that can play And Matt Milano at middle linebacker is every single thing that every Lions fan that complains about linebackers wants in a linebacker. You want Matt Milano. You want exactly what that guy is. And that's going to be a problem when you don't have your best lineman on the field. Yep. And Frank is still limited.
Yep.
It's a suboptimal time to play them.
Jonah Jackson mini helmet signed for sale, or not for sale, but in the auction starting on Friday. So don't miss their St. Jude auction. It goes live on Friday, on Black Friday. So it'll be good for you.
It'd be nice.
I think, you're absolutely right with the play of the Lions and Josh Allen. The one thing we have is his elbow injury. And the thing about that injury, it's the same injury that Dak had in Hard Knocks the season before. And really the only way to fix it is to rest it. It's a pitcher's injury. It's from being stronger and throwing harder than your frame is made to do. And it's rest. I didn't watch the Bills game yet from last week. I hope he threw a ton of passes. I hope he was a passing machine. He
wasn't
deep.
Great. Jacoby Brissett had a phenomenal game.
I'm just hoping he was using that arm and using that arm and using that arm so that when we see him, it's a little sore, it's a little off, and it's not quite right, because that would help the Lions a great deal. If he could not be accurate with that ball, that'd be great. Thank you.
Give the ball back once or twice. That'd be great.
Kirby's out there waiting for it.
It's going to take the Lions being +2 in turnovers. It's going to take a punt return, a blocked field goal, blocked extra point, something like that, to change the tide. Because if you just go toe to toe with Buffalo, they're a better team. Like there's no shame in that. They're supposed to be a better team. They're the favorites of the AFC.
Yep.
Like you've got to do something different or the Lions have been doing the different things that you need to do to beat them. Can they sustain that? That's one of the things that we're going to see. How good can they be when most people? Doesn't it feel like most people are like, okay, the Lions probably aren't bad. Like maybe they're good, and maybe there's that expectation that, okay, man, so one of the things that I do as a rigger is I get emails from like odds guys at casinos all the time of the people who have bought the money line on this game. 85% of that money is on the Lions. That's absurd to me. But it tells you that there's a lot of weird confidence in the Lions. I want to see how they handle that. Because quite frankly, Dan Campbell's never been in that situation before. No. I wonder how they will handle that. Yeah. Maybe it will make them rise. Maybe they will fall flat. This game's a huge enigma to me.
As much as the Giants game was a signature game and a stamp kind of game for the Lions, this one is the stretch goal. This is the one that the Lions walk out of here with a win. This is the stretch, and this tells you what this team could be in its current iteration, where it could be and how they could turn out the rest of the season. And then you start thinking about, we know that we talked 6-7 wins. The consensus was like 6 wins this year. Like I said, I was at 7. If this team turns in 7 wins, 8 wins, but has a signature win like this, I mean, the Arizona win last year was one. It was completely out of the blue, though, unexpected. To be able to walk in and do it on a 3-win run, and then take that 4th win against a team like Buffalo, that just tells you that we have a lot of the tools we need, and then it's all about putting the rest of the talent on the roster to take us to the next level. am not saying that this is supposed to be a win and that we should burn this place down because we didn't win, but it's going to be loud on Thursday. We have as good a chance, I think, as playing the Buffalo Bills this week on Thursday that we would have any other day of the season playing this team. This is probably the best shot with all the circumstances surrounding it for the Lions to play the Bills.
I agree with you on that. And again, they played in Detroit last week. They got a win in Detroit last week. They didn't play particularly well. The Browns played well. The Browns offense was really, really good. Their passing offense. And that gives me hope because Jacoby Brissett and Jared Goff are roughly the same caliber of quarterback. And Jacoby Brissett lit them up. And his stats could have been better, but they dropped 2 touchdowns in that game. Like the Browns passing offense is not sophisticated, folks. It's not like the Lions can do what the Browns did successfully on offense. And I do think that the Lions can run the ball. Although not having Jonah in really that hurts a lot, man. But the way I look at it is last week I said that the Lions we shouldn't be surprised if the Lions beat the Giants, but we probably shouldn't expect it. I think this week is a little bit more of that. Like, I do think that the Lions can win this game, and it wouldn't surprise me if they win it. It would surprise me more than beating the Giants. So it would surprise me more than beating who the hell we beat before that? Chicago. This is I love the idea of a stretch goal. I'm actually going to steal that. I'm going to incorporate that into something that I write because that's really good. That's the perfect way to describe this game.
I will look towards the offensive side of the ball. Jared Goff, I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. We need 30 points. We need 30 points to beat the Bills. It is what it is, and it has to be that way. And 30 might not even be a guarantee against the Bills team. They're high-powered. When we attack this team, they have a line that is just incredible. Their defensive line is nuts. Their safeties are all very strong, very strong. Their weakest points are at the cornerbacks, the outside corners, and at the middle linebacker. That's where you have to attack. So that smells a little bit like Amon-Ra, right? And it sounds a little bit like Chark and maybe J-Mo if he can get back. I mean, this could be something else. That could be his opportunity. Because you put him up against it. I mean, you put up, you get a corner whose PFF rating is 57, right? I mean, it's not bad. But there's your opportunity. You put those guys out there, and you could really do something. And that's literally the three positions you have to pick on if you're the offense.
If you watch what the Browns, we know who Donovan Peoples-Jones is. Michigan fans know him very well.
Oh yeah,
he tore them up last week. That you can get that from DJ Shark. You can get that from DJ Shark. If J-Mo plays, you can get that from him. There's opportunities there to make things happen, but one of the things that you guys know I talk about, like the margin for error and the paths to victory. Buffalo has so many different ways that they can beat you. Last week, their special teams were superlative. They were great, and like the Lions have been pretty good there too. But you've got to match them, and it's just it's asking a lot for a team to go up against a team that went into the season with an over under win total of 13, and they can still get that.
Yep,
it's not out of the question they can get that. So
absolutely.
I'm not going to be upset if they lose. I'll be ecstatic if they win. I'm not going to expect them to win, but I will not be surprised if they win.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. This is going to be I just what I'm shooting for right now is a fun game to watch, a competitive game. The other part of this is the Lions in nationally televised games are generally just, it's not where their forte has been. They've melted down reliably for the last 5 years. In the games that they get with it, and that's why they didn't get any this year. It's because they're just not been fun football to watch for years when they get those opportunities.
Denver. Yay.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Denver was fun football until this year. I don't think we'll see a whole lot of Denver games next year. So this is one where I would love, just from that perspective, to see a good game out of this team. It's going to be interesting. It's the Lions. It's Dan Campbell. It's a heck of a challenge, but it's not insurmountable. We just had to see him do it. And all the things we talk about, because it's Dan Campbell, it's going to be something different. Something that we're not talking about is going to be the story of the game with this Detroit Lions team. And people saying, hey, don't. Oh, we got Cheffers. Do we have Cheffers this week?
I think so.
Oh, God. That just chased it out of me, bro.
2 weeks in a row, we can't really complain.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. We did get calls. We did. Calls.
Isn't that nice?
It was weird. I didn't know what to think.
It was very weird.
Yep. All right, good show from this team. Goes a long way for believing in what we have, even if they lose. A good show does a lot for the team and for the organization.
Again, look at it this way: when they were 1-6, if we told you that they could be 4-7 after the 1-6 start, there's 98% of us would have raised our hands and said, hell yeah, give me that.
Yeah.
And we could be there.
Yeah.
And we could be 5-6. And that's sexy.
Well, based on looking at the schedule earlier, we've got 4 wins that should be happening for the rest of the season. That puts us at 8 wins for the season. That is far beyond what people expected. And I know we always want more, but I think that makes this a swimmingly successful season for the Detroit Lions. That would just
With
be
all that
crazy.
they've been through. And that's putting Dan Campbell from being a guy that a lot of people were thinking, is he going to last, to getting Coach of the Year votes.
Yeah, and I got money on that, so let's get that. So there we are. That's that. Don't forget, like, subscribe, amazon.detroitlionspodcast.com, fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com. Great ways to help us out. And by doing things you were going to do anyway, but please do the like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. With that, we're going to call it a show. Thank you for joining us for the show today, Riz. Thank you. Appreciate it. We did a big one, but it's a big week and we got some time before we're doing another one. Don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. $5 a month donation gets you access to the Slack. You can still just do $1 if you want to help us out. That's great. We appreciate it. But if you give $5, you get access to the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet via Slack. You'll get an email invite. You join, and there's cooking, there's booze, there's home improvement. There's so many channels of so much going on, experts in all those areas, and then the normal Lions chat. It's one of the greatest group of people you'll find. Great group to hang out with, and just really spectacular group. Also, don't forget about St. Jude, stjude.org/DLP. Help us out. Help us get to that $100,000 mark raised over the last 4 years now, the 4th annual being this year. We got to get to that $34,500 goal this year. stjude.org/DLP. Help us get there, please. Help us get sick kids and their families some help, and make it a little bit better holiday for them at the time when they need it the most. Follow us on Twitter, DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, and at Jeff Risdon, as you see spelled right below that beautiful face. No, not mine, his. Also, call us on Skype at Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667, and be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com and subscribe to the podcast. Why would anybody do that, Riz? That's right. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tub, no Patricia, no problems, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and thank you for joining us.